interfaces. Interfaces. And most of the Java API are made up of interfaces and what? Classes. So you know the classes. You know the classes. Now, what's an interface? An interface, just as the name is, just like your screen. There's an interface to what? The components within the phone. The concept is similar. But in Java interface, we say this interface is different from user interface. Note that it's a different concept altogether. For the interface, that's how we go by it. Sometimes, or not sometimes, you get those situations. In Java, we says there's no what? Multiple inheritance. So assuming this one here, the father is rich. The father inherited from the rich hierarchy. So the father is not rich, but the mother is smart. So we create maybe private or just public method. Public void smart. The mother is smart. The mother is smart. And the son doesn't want to choose size. He wants to be smart and rich at the same time. But in Java, we say you can't be smart and be rich at the same time. You have to choose side. So there should be a way around it. There should be a way around it. So they sat down and came up with a concept. We call them interfaces. So interfaces are not classes, but it's a way to mimic multiple inheritance in Java. When I say mimic, I can have one class. The son, assuming the father is an interface and the mother is also an interface, the son can implement more than one interface. You don't extend interfaces. Classes don't extend interfaces. Classes implement interfaces. But interfaces can extend themselves. So in Java, we say we don't have multiple inheritance for classes, but you have multiple inheritance for interfaces. An interface, assuming the 5 of you are all interfaces, you are doing different things. And I'm also an interface. I can extend from all the 5 of you and get all your features, then I'll give it to these guys. So an interface can extend from more than one interface, but a class cannot extend from more than one class. And classes only implement what? Interfaces. Classes only implement interfaces. So let's go by it. So now, and usually when you read other books or from other languages, usually for if you are coming from C# background, you see serializable, this. It tells you this was an interface. But in Java, the way you name interfaces, usually interfaces are like verbs. So if it's for running, you say runnable, serializable, those kind of words. So that's how you name your interface. I'll just name something. So I'll create 2 interfaces, getting rich and getting smart. So once I have those interfaces, there's another contract to it. Let me talk about it before I do it. Now, once you agree that I've spotted some interface somewhere, and interfaces are just like the classes, but you don't use the class keyword, you use the interface keyword, and they contain abstract methods. All the methods in the interfaces are what? Explicitly public abstract. They are implied. Whether you state it or not, they are all public what? Abstract. Because if you don't make them public, there's no point in having them there. An interface will be implemented by a class. And if you are not making it public, and since you cannot extend, a class cannot extend an interface, you make the methods what? Public. Now, if you are an interface, I'm a class, I've seen a method I'm interested in, and I want to use that method. In Java terms, there should be some form of agreement or a contract. And the contract is that I, Kofi, you, Davis, interface Davis, there's a method in your house which I've spotted, and I'm interested in it. Then you tell me, okay, if you're interested in my method, there is the agreement. The agreement is that once you're interested in my method, the rule is as you implement me, or you implement me, you must override all the methods in my interface. So it's an interface. He has two methods, nice trick and smart trick. And I'm a class. I've spotted those two tricks. They are just methods. I'm only interested in the smart one. I don't want the nice one. But according to him, or the Java's principle, he's telling me that no, you can't just come and tell me that I'm interested in this, so I will implement what? The smart one. If you want anything from me, you must implement all the methods. That's the contract. So if you have a contract with an interface, you must implement what? All the methods. Implement means override the methods and give them what? Body or definitions. So let the coding begins. So I'll create an interface. And when you are creating an interface, if it's not here by default, if it's not here by default, if it's not here by default, you go to other, new, other. Okay, it's already here by default. So there's Java interface. Then click on Java interface. We create smartness or smartable and smartness interface. So you can see instead of the class keyword, this time it's what? Interface, because it's an interface. Then I'll create another interface, richness. Let's use the richness. So smartness and richness. Now we said we now have two interfaces, smartness and what? Richness. And we are saying for the smartness, you just want to implement two methods to be smart. So I'll just say void. And note, you can give it any data type, assuming string. Smart ways. And by default, all methods in interfaces are what? Public abstract. So once they abstract, it means you might just what? Terminate them. You don't have to give them what? Body. The abstract methods. So smart ways, then I'll create another method, void get smart. So I've created two methods for what? This smartness. Then I'll come to the riches. That one to maybe end rich trick. Then void show riches. Show richness. So I also have two methods here. Now, because I have these two interfaces, the son now has what? A privilege of being what? Smart and what? Rich at the same time. By the power of what? Interfaces. So how can the son be smart and rich? If you want to be smart, you just have to use one keyword. So this son wants to be smart and rich. Now let's create a daughter. Let's do the sensor. This son wants to be what? Smart and rich, even though it's already rich from the father. You just do implement, then you type the what? Interface name, richness. Then because it's an interface, you can implement more than one what? Interface. You separate them by what? Comma. So just comma, smartness. Now that he has shown an interest, he'll be attacked that you said you are interested in me. What is the contract? You must make sure you do what? Implement all the what? Methods in the interface. So you just click on this guy, implement all methods. Then it will implement all the methods for you. Implement means it will create a structure for you to put a content in there. So it has implemented. You must specify that get smart should do this, smart way should do this, this should do this. So let's give it actual definition and not use the generated one. And I said interfaces can extend for more than one what interface. So we create another interface that will that will what am I even for? What am I thinking? Smart just something. So you're giving the methods what they should do. So when I create, I go back to the test class. I can now say what sun dot what. You can see there are so many methods. Get smart, rich trick, show richness, smart width, which are all coming from the what the various what interfaces. So let me just show richness. Let me do the final thing, then I'll give you the work. So you can see all those things coming. Show richness. Now we said if there are so many interfaces and you're interested in all of them and you don't want your code to be so long, you create another interface that will extend from what all those interfaces. So I'll create smart rich interface. So smart rich interface. Smart rich interface is an interface. Then for the interface you can extend for more than one what interface, comma smartness. See, there's no error. I'm just extending. So once I extend, by default I have all those methods in the what the smartness and what the richness, so I can now use them. Interface, are you okay? Just note, it's just like the abstract class. So one will ask, when do I use the abstract class? When do I use the interface? We know the rules. If a class already extends from another class, then it means you cannot extend. So you're already locked over there. So if you are locked somewhere to a particular class, then you don't have any other option but to look for what? An interface. But if you think in your class you don't only want to have an abstract method, you want to have other methods, then it qualifies to use what? The abstract, because abstract class can contain normal what? Methods. Any questions?